Here we go. In 5, 4, 3. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today is Tuesday, February 16th, 2021. Welcome again to the Chronic Book Club, where we smoke chronic, then talk comics. My name is Al Taylor, and of course, the Raph and Donnie to my Leo, Mr. Chris Jakes.
Hey-o.
Mr. Mike Wood.
What up, gangsters?
Gentlemen, how are we doing this week? What's going on?
High as fuck and loving living life as a geek.
Well, there you go. That brings me to my next question. What are we smoking this week? Chris?
In the joints, we've got a nice aged sonic screwdriver. It's a 6-month cure. It's delicate.
Cured in port barrels.
What do you got?
I have the same old muskrat butterskunk.
Muskrat butterskunk.
And some Pineapple Express in my little pipe. And some dabs that I acquired as tips throughout forever that I have too much of and can't smoke all of. So I don't even know what they are anymore.
Well, I guess that's good tips to have. Myself, in the bowl, I got my Afghani Kush Rainmaker blend.
Hey-o.
And in the pen, I have what every Karen during Sunday brunch cannot live without, mimosa. And all right, gentlemen.
I thought you were going to say Blue Dream.
Fuck that strain.
All right, guys. Look at, of course, all the comics we will be reading this week can be found on Comixology. Start building your digital comics library and lose yourself in the world of comics. Home to the largest selection of digital comics anywhere. Over 75,000 comics. Read anywhere you go. Comixology, available in the Google Play and the Apple App Store. And, of course, Marvel Unlimited. With Marvel Unlimited, you can start your 7-day free trial now and unlock more than 27,000 current and classic Marvel titles. Marvel Unlimited, available in the App Store and on Google Play. Now, all right, the Chronic Book Club is taking a deep look into the comics that make the movies and the TV shows. I know it's a lot to take in. And if you've ever felt like you wanted to read comics, but we're out of the loop, we're going to clear up a lot of that deep lore and confusing as fuck stuff that the Marvel Comics multiverse has managed to pump out over the last, 80 or so years. And we're going to do it high as fuck. Why? Why? Because, obviously comics and weed go together perfectly, except for the intense confusion that comes over when you have no idea who this character is, what event these assholes I've never heard of before are referencing, and did I miss something? You may ask yourself. Well, fret not. For this group of 3 potheads right here has a superpower, and our superpower is over-explaining comic book lore.
Yes.
So read along with us week by week, and we will answer all the questions in between the pages and help you figure out what the fuck is going on in WandaVision.
What the fuck?
So remember, what the fuck is going on? So remember to hit the like and subscribe buttons, and please, please, please leave your own thoughts, comments in different ways. We either rule or fucking suck in the comments below. Now, we kind of figured that the best place to start, with this whole WandaVision universe is none other than 2005's House of M. One of actually my favorite comics of all time, written by Brian Michael Bendis, who of course is famous for his runs on the Invincible Iron Man, the New Avengers, Daredevil, and of course his crowning achievement, Ultimate Spider-Man. Joined by penciler Olivier Coipel, who worked on Marvel's Siege and The Mighty Thor and DC Comics' 1000th issue of Action Comics. Tim Townsend, who of course worked on 2016's Doctor Strange by Jason Aaron, leads a talented team of inkers, while last but certainly not least, we are joined by letterer Chris Eliopoulos, whose work on Franklin Richards' Son of a Genius won him a Harvey Award in 2008. All right, Chris Woodrow, those of you listening, come on, we got our bowls, they're packed, blunts rolled, dabs dabbed, and let's just jump right into this. And right off the get-go, one of my personal favorite covers ever of The Scarlet Witch, Wanda Maximoff. Cover art by Joe Quesada. This was actually a variant, but Chris, now giving the end credits of WandaVision, do you already see a similarity, or am I like really pushing it?
No, you're not pushing it at all. In fact, I would say that it's so obvious. It's it's really giving hints to comic book readers. This is one of those great things where Marvel shows are just like, comic book readers, read this.
Yep, absolutely. And that's actually one of the reasons why I chose this cover, to kind of start with. So, all right, here we go. The first page, bam. I love the black in between the panels. All right. I love the absolute imagery of like this pain of childbirth.
I totally thought that he was like motorboating someone's ass. I was like, what the fuck is going on in this panel?
But I mean, and then I come here and then just the absolute look of fear and like such a small panel, I think the artist really nailed that experience of childbirth or motorboating, depending on which one, what he's thinking. Keep going through. We learn that Wanda Maximoff has just given birth to twins. Now, guys, I think we can kind of all agree. Or has she? Exactly. I mean, this is another one of those WandaVision references. Woody, I mean, is Marvel kind of giving us hints or what?
Yeah, I mean, I think that what the MCU does really well is put everything in a blender and try to make it new for people as well. So I wouldn't say that, I like the fact that they're kind of combining the WandaVision run from the 80s with some of this House of M stuff to try to like modernize it and make it something that can go along in the MCU. I think the most fucked up thing, if you go to the next page, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And you realize that this isn't really happening. Just the thought of Wanda Maximoff like going through the pain of childbirth, and then probably she's done this before. She obviously has done this before. So it's like she wants children so bad that she's probably already birthed and been through this birthing process in her mind many times before this.
Yeah, Xavier's fed up with dealing. Xavier's fed up with dealing with this at this point.
He's like, dude,
this is the 19th time.
Like, shut it down, dude. Shut it down.
Well, and I mean, we have that balloon at the bottom on the previous page of Charles saying, "Now put it back," and
yeah, what does he mean? Put it back? Like he's like, shove it right back up your fucking.
Put it there. Back in we go. This one's a defect.
Hadouken.
But on this page, we do have Charles Xavier explaining to the Scarlet Witch that she indeed has no children, that she is struggling with, that he's struggling with Wanda to put back a world that never existed. I mean, does that sound a little familiar, MCU fans, or what? But, going to this next page, we next have a Wanda, and obviously distraught, wowing like, I killed them, like I killed the Avengers, and then boom, hold up, stop. What the fuck did she just say? Did she just really say I killed them? I killed the Avengers? So
and I killed my husband.
And I killed my husband, So as we're going through now,
it's as confusing as it is familiar.
Exactly. Yes. So this is where we're going to get into it for you a little bit. So first off, who the fuck is the Scarlet Witch. Well, first appearing in X-Men number 4, the Scarlet Witch is often depicted as a powerful mutant with like time and reality warping manipulations, who she can also manipulate like matter and energy. She was first created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby in 1964, and originally was a supervillain along with her twin brother Pietro, also known as Quicksilver. Like they said in the MCU, he's fast and she's weird. Her and her brother both actually later joined the Avengers in issue 16. Oh, and Charles Xavier, also created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Charles Xavier, also known as Professor X, a mutant who can read and control minds, made his debut in X-Men number 1 in 1963. X-Men, a superhero team made up of mutants led by Professor X, would often battle the Brotherhood of Mutants led by Magneto, a mutant who, you guessed it, can control metal. Now, for the big plot twist, the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver are actually twin children of Magneto himself, which really isn't canon anymore, but just for the sake of all of us being high, we'll just get to like in a completely different episode, because there's like a lot of backstory to that.
So this is a really good
so
point.
we think, though. I mean, we
Or
don't
so
know.
we think.
This is a really good point to bring up that MCU canon and Marvel Comics canon don't have to line up and rarely do. And Woody started saying earlier that the movies have done so far a great job of being like, we need to take these 3 plot lines from the comics and turn them into one storyline. Thor Ragnarok is a really great example where they blended Planet Hulk along with a couple of Thor stories and made an amazing movie. So nothing that we're reading is definitive of what's happening in WandaVision. It's just to give the full backstory of where they're pulling some of this art and some of these story points from.
So, Chris, going on that, I mean, were you like this birth scene at the beginning? I mean, were you excited to read this just from that like little bit of an opening, or what?
So I had to ask, so I read this twice this week because I was so excited about reading House of M. And this is honestly probably like my 20th time through the story. And I had to truly try to remember what it was like the first time I read this. And the 2 biggest things I asked myself are things that are started to be pointed out in this new title page that we're looking at here. First off, who are the Avengers that she killed? Because I know there's a bunch of different Avengers over the course of the time. Is it Captain America or Hank Pym? Who's dead? Who's alive? Who are the Avengers? Who did she kill? And then the other thing is, what is this island thing that they're on that's just thrashed? Because obviously they have her in some sort of building. You can see it's like a wasteland around her when she turns reality back. She's like, I killed everyone. You can tell that she's in some sort of wasteland. Where are they? Those are the 2 biggest questions, right?
And those are the 2 biggest answers that I have for you guys, and right in the beginning, especially on this page, they say, and there comes a day unlike any other, when Earth's mightiest heroes found themselves united against a common threat. On that day, the Avengers were born to fight the foes no single superhero could withstand. And previously in Avengers, 6 months ago, 2004, Avengers Disassembled, written by, you got it, Brian Michael Bendis. During that run, pretty much what happened was the Scarlet Witch loses all control of her powers and kills Hawkeye, Ant-Man, and Vision himself, who is her husband. The remaining Avengers are both hurt physically and mentally, whilst Doctor Strange puts Wanda in this kind of like magical trance, so she really can't hurt no others, And meanwhile, Chris, like you said, on the other side, the Uncanny X-Men, X-Men, born with strange powers, use their awesome abilities to protect a world that hates them and fears them. So, 6 months earlier, on the X-Men side of things, we have Excalibur Volume 3, written by Chris Claremont, art by Aaron Laprise, and Charles Xavier travels to Genosha, which is pretty much the mutant capital. After supposedly Magneto had died in the new X-Men series. So Professor X goes to Genosha. He's
Xavier,
looking for
Xavier looks so fucking creepy in this picture.
But by the end of the series, he ends up actually finding a very alive Magneto. So I mean, I know that's a lot of information, but if you're just as high as we are, you can't remember. So just remember to like and subscribe, rewatch anything we missed, comment any questions, anything we have below. I know it's a lot, but we have faith in you guys. Okay.
Hit us up. Hit us up and we'll hit you with any answers. If we're reading along this and we just missed something completely, hit us up on social media and we'll admit our own flaws as stoners.
I'm in Genosha right now, actually. That's where I am. It's a cool 78 degrees.
I'll take it.
I feel like we kind of washed over this. Wanda Maximoff was both an Avenger and an enemy of the X-Men when she was part of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants under her dad, Magnus Magneto.
Who apparently is offering yoga lessons on Genosha now.
In my pajamas.
Just do a little meditation with me now. Come on.
So yeah, I mean, Chris, you pretty much nailed it. And like you said, any questions, just kind of throw us in the comments. Back to our story. I mean, next couple of pages, we kind of have a discussion between Professor X and Magneto, who are old friends, about how it's pretty much inhumane to keep Wanda in this vegetative state.
Can we talk about that walk off of Magneto and how he's just like that's such a badass Irish goodbye? It's just like, I'm out. I'm gonna walk off into space. That's how annoyed I am at this conversation.
Oh, up through here.
Yeah, he's just like, peace.
Now, meanwhile, back in New York City, we have the arrival of the X-Men at the New Avengers Tower. New Avengers, because remember the old team, Scarlet Witch, whatever. From left to right, we have Beast, Emma Frost, Cyclops, Wolverine, Kitty Pryde, and Colossus. And who are greeted by their ex-leader, Professor X. Bald dude, wheelchair, X-Men in the middle. Now, why is he an ex-leader? Chris said it best. Cyclops is a douche. Jean Grey is dead, and everyone blames everyone in the end. Chris, I thought that was a perfect way to explain it.
I fucking hate Scott Summers.
I think we've had that discussion before about how we hate Scott Summers.
Can we talk about Emma Frost? Because I had no idea. I had no idea who the fuck that was.
Yeah, she's a hell of a character.
Yes. Woody, I actually get into Emma Frost in a little bit, so just hold your horses, and I promise you I'll deliver. All right, baby?
The horses have been held in the stable now.
We are good. All right. So anyway, with Professor Xavier, we do have makeup of old and new Avengers from left to right. Yellow Jacket, who is Hank Pym. Captain America, Janet Van Dyne, the Wasp, Miss Marvel, Wonder Man himself, Simon Williams, of course, Doctor Strange, Iron Man, the Falcon, Spider-Man, Jennifer Walters, aka the She-Hulk, Luke Cage, and finally the Sentry. How'd I do? Leave your comments below. I think I got them.
I wasn't paying attention because I was looking at She-Hulk
and doing a dab.
She's a my size Barbie.
So pretty much we have these two powerhouse teams coming together for some reason or another. And back in Genosha, we learned that Quicksilver, we learned from Quicksilver that they're plotting to kill Wanda, the Scarlet Witch, his twin sister. I don't know about you guys.
A fucking drama queen.
I'll tell you what I thought was cool. I thought it was cool that they were having a meeting half a world away, all right? and Quicksilver moves from like point A to point B in the blink of an eye. And I loved how he was yelling so fast that it was like almost
that was
inaudible,
amazing.
You know.
So where is
inaudible.
Genosha? Where is Genosha on planet Earth? Because it's a fake place. Where is Genosha?
I believe it's like in the area of not Antarctica because that's south, but like North Polish.
That sounds like a Middle Eastern dessert.
I mean, what are the people at home? No, like I mean, we're fucking high. Like somebody out there's got to know it, right?
Because I know Latveria is like, there's a bunch of fake places in the Marvel universe. Latveria is supposed to be like the Eastern Bloc, and then Wakanda's in fucking Africa, and the Atlantis is in the fucking ocean. But the X-Men have their islands and weird places that they go to. There's Genosha, and later there's Krakoa, and it gets fucking confusing because these places don't exist in the real fucking world.
Well,
so you're saying what would be their counterpart of geography on Earth?
That is what I'm asking, yes.
Okay, well, Genosha is actually a small crescent-shaped island located to the northeast of Madagascar on the eastern coast of Africa in the Indian Ocean.
It's almost like you wrote that down. Magic.
So, my question for both of you guys so far, do you think they have to kill the Scarlet Witch? Do they have to kill WandaVision? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Does she have to die? Woody, what do you think?
Bro, that's rough, dude. I mean, I don't know if she has to die, but like, how can you hold her powers? Like, for instance, right? Whenever we've had a problem with a fucking superhero, we've been like, here's a superhuman proof cell. Like, what would be a superhuman proof cell for the Scarlet Witch?
She can just change what a cell is.
So it's like, what do you put her in a prison in a black hole? Like how are you supposed to imprison the Scarlet Witch, or even just restrain her? Like that's why she's on Genosha. And I think a lot of that is that she can't really go anywhere else because she would fuck shit up because she's not mentally stable right now. So it's like, this is kind of like a giant psych ward for her right now. Like, it's just like, this is already fucked up. Like, this is your kind of prison, you know?
Absolutely.
So I go back and forth on this, and it deviates between this strange train of thought. So I don't think that I do think that I would have voted to kill her. If I was in that room, I probably would have sided with Wolverine on that one. Like, how do you even fucking deal with this? But I hate the way that the discussion is had. Like, oh, she threatens the livelihood of mutants in the planet and whether, they're safe amongst other humans. Emma Frost is like super political about it. And Captain America is super fucking Captain America about it. Is like, she's an Avenger. Avengers decide, fuck you. Well, and none of that really is like a logical. So like, and you've got 2 of the 8 smartest people on the planet in the room. No, 3. You got Hank Pym, you've got Tony Stark, and you've got Hank McCoy. Yeah. So you've got 3 of the top 10 smartest people on the planet. And the other thing that I go back to is the guy that's missing is, of course, Reed Richards. And he's got that fucking jail that's kind of in the negative zone. It's like half in the negative zone, and the doorway's on this zone. And I can't remember the name of that jail, but maybe if you fucking shipped her off to another dimension.
Well, I was gonna say, could you put her in a Pym particle, like a Pym prison?
That's a good question. What do you guys think?
Whoa, that's a fucking weed question right there. That's a big old rip.
So WandaVision or Wanda, can Wanda Maximoff be put in a Pym particle? Guys, my other question for you, especially looking at the players in here, do you think we're going to see any of these guys in WandaVision coming up?
Yes.
Who do you think?
Okay, so I'm gonna lay this on you, and it's probably not gonna come up for a couple of chapters, but Wonder Man, because Wonder Man is where the brain in the comic books, the brain scans for Vision came from. Absolutely. So there's a very big connection between Wonder Man and Vision as characters. Yep. So in the comic books, at least. So I think that's going to end up getting played out.
I personally think Doctor Strange. I can definitely see him coming up. I definitely think Wonder Man also.
Where is he? Is Strange in the room?
Yeah,
He's
well,
there.
he was in there, but yeah, I don't think they have him here.
Okay.
He's
You know,
like,
because
he's like, I got shit to do, and he's just
Yeah.
like,
well, you know, back at Avengers Mansion, we are watching the debate between the heroes as to whether or not, and I quote, put her down or to let her
Kill that
live.
bitch.
You know,
yeah, how
I,
Kill
fucked
that
up is that,
bitch.
right?
yeah,
No,
well,
dude, I've totally vote just like try. Like, I would say the first thing we should do is try to build some way to contain her. You know, like
But
hey,
you
10
just made the
particles, man,
argument
that's a
for
good
how you
idea.
can't contain her.
that's what I'm
And
saying.
Reed Richards isn't in the room. And Reed Richards is probably the only guy that's going to figure that
I
out.
think-
All right. Okay, come on, people in the comments will let us know what they think. So, because like we said, we have Captain America's, what he wants. We obviously have Wolverine, and what he wants, and these next couple of like page and panel layouts, like I absolutely love the layout of them. I mean, what do you guys think of like Coipel's work so far? Are you enjoying the art?
I honestly think like it's kind of on the line of the modernized comics that kind of turned me off, but because of the storyline, I've been cool with it, and there is a lot of good handwork on it, which you can tell. But it's not overly like, let's just put this through a computer and sharpen it up overly. You know what I mean? Like, that's the shit that I can't fucking stand. But I can
Gotcha.
tell there's still some good soul to it, I guess. But it definitely isn't of. I love when I can tell a comic is just like super fucking
All hand
like,
drawn.
all hand drawn. Like, there was,
Gotcha.
you know what
This
I mean?
looks all
Like,
hand drawn to me. This doesn't look digitally
Exactly.
added to me. This
exactly.
looks.
There may have been some touch ups and stuff, but this is definitely like I'm cool with it. You know what I
But
mean?
this artist the color is really into like really superbly defining colors and color across the page and stuff.
Which
There's definitely
one
a contrast between the Doctor Strange with when they were doing a lot of overlapping in that. There was so much. So this is a very standard framework for the read of the comic, which is nice, because it's really just about the story at this point.
Crossovers also tend to have that.
Oh yeah, they do. They absolutely do. I absolutely couldn't agree with you guys more. So, pretty much after some discussion between the X-Men and the Avengers, they come to what I would call a reasonable conclusion and essentially do the right thing and ask Wanda what she wants. Our heroes and mutants end up back at Genosha, where we get these. I loved how on this panel right here that the heroes who couldn't fly were like being carried to Genosha,
I thought that was such a weird flex.
That is pretty funny. We need to go right now.
Hop on my backs, guys. We're going.
Let's go. This shit needs to be taken
They
care of.
didn't have a jet. They didn't have a jet for the guys that can't fly.
So we're back on Genosha where we get like this cool like Spider-Man being curious, and then we get like a bright white light, and finally our conclusion to issue 1 is Peter Parker back at home in bed with a wedding picture adorning the nightstand and the cries of a baby waking him from his slumber.
And blonde hair. And blonde hair.
And blonde hair.
And blonde hair.
Pack me a bowl and call me fucking Smokey, because just like WandaVision itself, I find myself saying, what the fucking God's name is going on here? Did I miss something, or am I just high as fuck? Chris, what did you think of the story so far?
So I'm gonna try not to say this every single time, but again, I've read this story so many times and for so many years that I had to try to remember what it was like to read that for the very first time. And the blonde hair was the thing that stood out to me the very first time I read that, because I was like, oh, they warped dimensions. That was really obvious to me, that the reality warping thing that Scarlet Witch was doing, that's what that light was. It was pretty obvious to me, like, oh shit, they're changing something. And then, he's just waking up, so he's not where he was. So like something changed. It was some sort of warp. He's back in bed. There's a baby. He doesn't have a baby. So I'm like, oh man, he's getting like some sort of fantasy world. And of course, a fantasy world for Peter Parker isn't necessarily one where Mary Jane's his lady.
Absolutely. Which is spoilers for later on. But Woody, question for you. Any character that has stood out to you so far that you're like, I can't wait to see more about them?
Really quick, the ending of that comic was very Kubrickian, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you know, it was very like the end of a Kubrick film. Like, he would just tell you to fuck off at that point. He'd be like, figure it out, you know?
There is no chapter 2.
I'd be like, what the fuck was that?
The end.
The end. Done. So a character that has stood out. Has anyone? I mean, Emma Frost looked fucking amazing.
All right.
So I was like, who is this dude? Yeah, I'm pretty thirsty tonight, guys. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna.
Oh no, you're good.
I got She-Hulk on the mind and shit.
Here we go, okay? Because
I just wanted to throw me around, you know.
So here you go. I'm gonna try to stroke you. I'm gonna try to stroke you with issue 2, okay?
This is a great variant.
This is PG-13 content, guys.
This is the actual cover.
This is the actual cover. Okay.
Correct. And so, you know, right off the bat, we see that the time is now. It's today. We're in the Bronx. Captain America Steve Rogers is old, and there are kids like flying freely and using their powers. You know, just in the street in the wide open,
as far as the eye could see.
And meanwhile, in Hartford, Connecticut, we have a very married Cyclops and Emma Frost. So, Woody, I know you've asked about who Emma Frost was.
Yeah, she was looking so fine that you missed that picture of her looking fine on the counter. God damn, that woman.
Well, here's your release, okay? Created by Chris Claremont and John Byrne, Emma Frost first appeared in Uncanny X-Men number 129 in January of 1980. Again, originally a supervillain and foe of the X-Men, she evolved to become one of the X-Men's most central characters and a leader. Her powers include high-level telepathic abilities, allowing her to read minds, implant mental suggestions, and wipe memories. She's also capable of shape-shifting into an organic diamond form, which is harder than Woody right now, and granting her enhanced strength and durability, but greatly diminishing her psychic abilities. All right. So, meanwhile,
with all that power, she still chooses Scott Summers. With all that she's got going on, still chooses fucking Cyclops.
Fucking 2D, one dimension, shallow water. Fuck you.
I don't know. I think this picture right here, she's saying maybe like, "Oh, Woody, it's me, Woody."
She's like,
okay.
Apple.
All right.
You like fruit, you hairy fuck.
Meanwhile, back in Los Angeles, we have a famous Wonder Man, a kick-ass Miss Marvel, and in Cincinnati, Ohio, a classroom led by teacher Kitty Pryde of the X-Men, like openly talking about mutants, you know, learning about them. Now, Chris, knowing like the awful racist views towards the X-Men in Marvel Comics, what were you thinking seeing all of the changes towards mutants in this universe? Is it for the better or is it for bad?
So let's assume that our audience, our whole Chronic Book Club, they're all pretty aware that the X-Men have been an allegory for racial tension in America since their inception. Yep. That's what the X-Men have always fucking been. In fact, if you get into it, you know, Xavier and Magneto are kind of representative of civil rights heroes of the 1960s. So there's a lot to be said about them taking this plot line of all of a sudden the mutants aren't the minority and making this really big and open and just everyone's talking about it. Everyone's using their powers in public. We get a couple of pages ahead of there. We find out there's actually some of those issues where non-mutants get fucking like the shit beat out of them. They get called sapiens and shit like that. So they're really taking the aspect of what the X-Men are and what the X-Men always have been and just giving it a bit of a head check in 2005.
Yep.
They're saying, hey, does this still mean the same thing? Let's talk about it. And that's what we're doing here in this classroom with Kitty Pryde. That's what they're saying with this new X-Men story is let's head check ourselves. Let's find out we still stand for what we stand for.
Absolutely. And, I couldn't agree more. So going back through our comic, we leave Cincinnati, we go back to Hell's Kitchen, and we have Sam Wilson, the Falcon, who's
Gordon
actually
Ramsay.
is labeled a sapient. And in this universe is a police detective. He's having a discussion with fellow Avenger Luke Cage, who seems to be some part of this underground resistance, and neither can remember their time as Avengers or even being friends, period. And they're discussing the murder of the Kingpin, who, the head of the gangs in Hell's Kitchen, which I guess is normal, and no matter what universe you're in, that's normal. The next couple of pages.
The big takeaway right there is that no one remembers each other. No one remembers whatever the previous universe is. That's what that scene was really supposed to tell us. It doesn't matter that Luke Cage is a fucking gangster now. What matters is that those two guys don't remember each other.
Exactly. Yeah. Along going with these next couple of pages where we're learning, our heroes are very much different than they used to. I.e., Dr. Strange is a psychiatrist. You have Colossus, who is a farmer in Russia.
I fucking love that shot.
Oh, yeah.
He's the fucking farmer, dude.
Hank McCoy and Hank Pym are scientists for the smartest non-mutant of them all, Tony Stark. Now, Woody, there's all this conversation how humans are the lesser species and mutants rule. Your first instinct, is this real life or no? Is this just a completely different universe?
I think it was fucking weird. I think it just took a minute to be like, what the fuck is going on? Especially old Steve, because Captain America has very definitive eyes. Like, it's Cap, just because his eyes are so fucking Captain America. So it's like you knew that old man was Captain America just by fucking really, you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
When you first saw him, you're like, holy shit, And it's just like, I definitely think some fucking weird shit was going on. Because again, what we were left with the fucking cliffhanger at the last one. So obviously some fucking weird shit's going down,
Oh yeah, and here we finally have Storm from the X-Men and Janet Van Dyne, and our first mention of the House of Magnus, and
can I just say I would love to do this to racists.
Tape them up.
They all just wake up fucking black and then be like, here you go,
Oh fuck. Yes.
Here you go, you fucking ass. Try that shit out, buddy.
So these next couple of panels, we have this flashback. I love this Wolverine Weapon X flashback. And finally, we have fan favorite Wolverine waking up from what feels like a dream, confused as hell. He runs outside and realizes the world he once called home is no more. We have a helicarrier high above the city with some flying robots, jets that bear the mark of, some unfamiliar symbol. And I mean, right there, that's our conclusion to issue 2 of House of M. Chris, how are you doing following like the panels and the pages so far? Like, is there clarity in the art?
I think one of the reasons why we see panels the way we do in crossover events is because there's so many characters, and if you get into that like overlapping over the frame kind of art and like that modernish kind of way of doing paneling, it's hard to keep track of how many fucking characters there are. So that's why I think in this story we get like 12 panels or full page spread outs. 12 panels, full page spread outs, a little bit of artwork that blends over the pages, but most of it's really nice and easy to look at. which can be boring if you're here for the fucking art of it all, but I think it's really well done as far as trying to read the story. I also really want to take this moment to be like, Mystique pretended to be Jean Grey to bang Wolverine, and that shit's
Yeah.
way fucked up.
Like
I thought you had a
mentally,
thing for
right?
redheads.
Like, we don't need to dance around this a lot because it's just blatantly fucked up, but that is fucking nuts. Brian Michael Bendis peppering in the extra cayenne here and there.
Chronic Book Club members, what did you think? Was Mystique as Jean Grey trying to bang Wolverine a little fucked up? Let us know in the comments.
Also, Wolverine seems to remember his old life, right? We're gonna get in. We're gonna keep reading, but Wolverine seems to remember something. He remembers previously. That's what we're teasing.
And that's why I said, he kind of woke up from a dream.
Exactly.
So, all right, you got your bowl packed, blunts rolled, smoking trees, issue 3. Here we go. And right off the bat, like Chris was saying, we got this Wolverine flashback. And for me, the one Easter egg I loved in this panel right here is at the bottom with the Incredible Hulk, because it takes us back to Wolverine's first debut in the Incredible Hulk 181. And Wolverine, created by the great Len Wein. Most people, when they think Wolverine, think Hugh Jackman right off the bat, but Wolverine is actually a lot shorter than Hugh Jackman by a lot. And his powers include, obviously regeneration, like the dude can never fucking die, and having like an adamantium skeleton, which includes like 3 giant claws from each hand, and like this fuck it all attitude, which really kind of resonates with the 3 of us today. High or not, So as we keep going, we find out that Wolverine, this was another flashback, like the Gene No, going back to X-Men like 136. Like I thought that was so cool. But back to our present day Wolverine, he remembers everything about his past life. I.e. back to like issue 1. And I mean, what are both your guys' thoughts on this full page spread by Coipel? Because I thought this was just amazing.
He's like, he just called it out, dude. He's just like, all right, I gotta test this theory. I'm just gonna see if I fucking die. I'm gonna jump off of this shit, Like
in just the flow of it, like the flow of the art is just. It really got me. I really thought that this was probably one of my favorite panels and spreads that I've actually seen so far.
And then he climbs back up.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Fucking animal, dude.
So in these next couple of pages are pretty interesting, because first Wolverine finds himself in a New York City that like absolutely loves superheroes, and in a Back to the Future type fashion, Wolverine picks up this newspaper and is probably as shocked as I was, reading the headlines.
Especially seeing Army Hammer on the pulse, considering what's going on.
Well, so and that's the thing, So Magneto, right on the cover of the Pulse, and talking about how today is, the big day, and we see Storm and Magneto together. An article on Prince Namor, the Submariner, attending the House of Magnus. An article by Dr. Otto Octavius, which of course is Dr. Octopus. And these articles by Betty Brant and Kat Farrell, who were former Daily Bugle employees, gives the sense that maybe that paper doesn't exist in this world. I guess maybe.
It just occurs to me that Brian Michael Bendis also created the character Jessica Jones and wrote the series Pulse. A little bit of an Easter egg.
There you go.
Just got that.
There you go, Chronic Book Club members. Give Chris some fucking credit on that one. Good job, buddy.
And that's why you smoke weed and read comics multiple times.
So we have this page, which I like, Spidey and Son. So obviously the world knows Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Kevin Plunder, aka Kazar, getting asylum in the US. Janet Van Dyne, the Wasp, like this like Dear Abby thing at the top. And I really liked how Shang-Chi and Rafael Vega like being arrested, like both members of like the Wolf Pack in the 616 universe. I just thought that was cool. And finally Wolverine doing what he's best at,
and we've got a Shang-Chi movie coming up too. So just a little heads up on character bleeding.
We do have a Shang-Chi movie coming up, Chris. That's a very good point. Shang-Chi, Legend of the Ten Rings, will be out in the MCU this June, which is kind of cool. I guarantee it's probably going to be one of the most badass martial arts action movies, you've ever seen. Definitely.
Hopefully Iron Fist won't be in it, at least that actor that played him.
Oh my God, no kidding. So finally,
I am Iron Fist.
Finally, Wolverine doing what he does best, stealing this bike and heading, to check out the X-Men mansion in upstate New York. And after learning that Professor X isn't there, nor has he ever even lived there, Wolverine takes back off in search of some answers. Back in New York, we have S.H.I.E.L.D., who Wolverine in this timeline was actually a bigwig. They catch up with Logan in hopes of taking him back in and trying to figure out why he's freaking out to begin with. And as Wolverine goes to make his escape right here, he is greeted and quickly transported out of there by none other than Cloak from fucking Cloak and Dagger fame, which I am a big fan of Cloak. First appearing in Peter Parker in the Spectacular Spider-Man number 64. This is definitely not your freeform channel Cloak and Dagger. Born Tyrone
Freeform channel.
Oh, dude, Freeform channel did a Cloak and Dagger. What? This ain't it. Yup. It was like, we're teens and we're in love and life is hard and I am Cloak and you are Dagger. So that's what I mean.
Like a Lois and Clark version of Cloak and Dagger.
Bingo.
Oh, thank you. No, thank you.
Exactly.
Hard pass.
But Cloak, born Tyrone Johnson, Cloak actually has the ability to transport himself and others long distances in a shroud of like dark force energy. He uses the Fury touches for people like against them, as well as darkness to cause like insanity and paranoia. So Cloak, working for the Human Resistance, led by Luke Cage, transports Wolverine back to their headquarters in Hell's Kitchen. Luke Cage informs Logan that there is a tracker in the back of his head, and if he doesn't remove it himself, he will, with the bubble of "You heard the man," and we flip and we are introduced to motherfucking Hawkeye. Now, yeah, whoa, right there. Now, Chris, in the beginning of our story, Hawkeye's dead. Scarlet Witch killed him. How surprised were you to fucking see Hawkeye in this issue 3 finale?
So I'm a huge Hawkeye fan, so I loved the way they brought him back. I hate that they kind of just killed him off and brought him back pretty quickly. I mean, what was it, 6 months?
Yeah, 6 months. Yep.
But if I remember correctly, fans fucking hated that they killed off Hawkeye. They really loved that rendition of Clint Barton.
Absolutely.
And how he's kind of just like a nihilist piece of shit. He's kind of like, he's very Wolverine-esque. And just like, fuck all of you. I just want to fucking kill bad guys. Please just let me kill fucking bad guys. Fuck. And I feel like we're getting a part of the reason why our Jeremy Renner Hawkeye is kind of like getting faded out as a character is because he's played that Hawkeye. And, we're getting the younger Kate Bishop Hawkeye in the series because he's an old, bitter piece of shit. And he plays old, bitter piece of shit so well.
Well, yeah, and like you said, most people in the MCU know who Hawkeye is. Hawkeye, actually born Clint Barton, made his first appearance again as a villain in Tales of Suspense, number 57. Created by Stan Lee and Don Heck, he joined the Avengers in issue 16 with Scarlet Witch. So there's a lot of like tying in between Scarlet Witch, Hawkeye, coming around at like the same amount of time.
We think Hawkeye is so terrific, we plastered him all over our cover.
And well, as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, he was killed off by Brian Michael Bendis in Avengers Disassembled. Now, Woodrow, considering the relationship we've seen between Hawkeye and Wanda in the MCU, do you think we'll get a Hawkeye cameo in WandaVision?
I mean, what is he doing right now in the MCU? He's
with his family.
His daughter
with his family. Giving anyone a heads up.
Back, right?
So at the end of Endgame, it was actually Hawkeye and Scarlet Witch standing next to each other talking, and Hawkeye said, "I wonder if she knows." And Scarlet Witch looked at him and said, "Yes, they both know." So that was kind of where they were at in the MCU at the end of Endgame.
Who were they talking about?
They were talking about Scarlet Witch, Natasha, and Vision, because those were two of the other casualties.
Now I understand what the fuck you're talking about. Yeah.
So we were sitting here talking about, whether or not you think we'll get a Hawkeye cameo in WandaVision, kind of figuring out where the characters are now. And I mean, Chronic Book Club members, there we go. That's our issue 3 finale with a Hawkeye like fucking staring us down. And I am so fully vested into seeing what comes next, even though I kind of already know what comes next. But Chris, so far in these first 3 issues, especially rereading them, what do you think of Brian Michael Bendis's writing so far?
I'm a Brian Michael Bendis fanboy. I'm a really big fan of all of his work, and I think he does great jobs with existing characters, as well as he's created some of the most like quintessential characters in modern comics. So I'm biased as fuck here. I love everything he's done for the most part. But this was actually my first Brian Michael Bendis story. And I feel like it did take me a little while to get used to the fact that he wanted me to accept his own lore. He wanted me to have read his other stories because he calls back to his other stories a lot.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a little bit confusing as a new reader, but it was also he was probably the author that got me back into reading comics. Which was, probably 5 years ago at this point, where I went back and I was like, I'm going to read House of M again. And it's just been a deep dive since. So he has this way of being like, you should know what I'm talking about, but I'm not going to make you feel bad.
Yeah, that's a really, really, really good point. Woody, my question for you, does the art, because Chris just talked about the writing now, does the art and the story have like a symbiotic flow to it?
First of all, Brian, pick a fucking name.
Why? What did I say?
No, not you.
Brian Michael Bendis.
3 names.
My name is Joseph.
Brian Michael Bendis.
Come on, pick a fucking name.
Ricky Bobby Bendis.
Hi, I'm Michael David Wood. People would punch me right in the dick if I said that. Hi, I'm Michael David Wood Sr., son of Ralph, Walker of the Berkshires. Anyway, the question about the art and the flow of said art. I'm so high, dude. I just did the biggest dab. The flow of the art, awesome, man. I mean, they're doing really good. It makes me want to keep going. I definitely think that the ending is really cool. I like how many. There's a way to do. I think that's what they do really well in the X-Men and Avengers storylines. Anyway, is like Chris was saying, like working with multiple characters at once and keeping it organized. So you're not like, oh, what do we do? Where are we? Like it's very like you can keep track of the storyline even with 20 characters all doing shit.
which absolutely brings me to my next part. Is there any character from the beginning of the story that we haven't seen yet that you're eager to know what's going on in this world? For both of you, I guess.
Doctor Strange.
Yeah, mine's Doctor Strange too. I know they show therapist Doctor Strange, but we all know like Doctor Strange is a lot more powerful than to have something be pulled over his eyes for too long.
And I think that he might be aware of what's going on, even though he's therapist Doctor Strange. But that's for another story altogether, because that wasn't in the third issue, right? Was it? Therapist Doctor Strange.
No, therapist Doctor Strange.
Therapist Doctor Strange. Yeah, there was one where he talked about
yeah.
Okay, so therapist Doctor Strange.
And how does that make you feel?
How does it make you feel exactly?
Does it make you feel like magic?
I think that he might be playing his cards close to his chest.
Now, do you guys have anything that?
What about Xavier? Where the fuck is Xavier?
Where is Charles Xavier?
He didn't go to Genosha.
Yeah. Was he there with them? I don't know. Chronic Book Club members. I'm high. I can't remember.
He was fucking high.
I assume he was back in Genosha because he was in Genosha before he went to the Avengers.
Oh, but then he was at the Avengers. So
but when all the Avengers left, and I didn't see like Miss Marvel carrying a wheelchair through the air, saying, "Hey, we're coming back to Genosha." But so my other question for both of you guys is there anything that you picked up in the comics so far that you think really, really, really relates to the television show on Disney Plus?
Okay, so I am jumping all over this because I think that the whole House of M thing is kind of like a red herring for the show. I think they're doing little aspects of House of M, like they're going to try to introduce mutants during the show. They're talking about how Wanda has kids during the show, but I don't think the overarching storyline of House of M is what the show is really about. I think they're just finding some really awesome aspects of House of M to use as like plot devices for getting us to where they want us get us to in the MCU.
Exactly, because the MCU has a good way of thinking they're going to go one way and going the absolute other way. So I can definitely see your thought on that. Woody, my last question for both of you is, are you excited? Are you excited to see if the book is going to relate to the show, or do you think they're two separate entities? Chris, I know you just kind of answered that, but what do you think?
Like I said, I think they have a great way of blending. I too agree that you have a fucking IPO, dude. You got an IPO you need to make money off of. What we've all been waiting off of, R4, is the introduction of mutant like we've never been able to deal with. That's why we have such a convoluted past with Wanda and not being able to use Magneto, not being able to use the X-Men, and like all this funky shit. So it's like, do we just retcon that? Is this the first experience of the MCU just being like, fuck all that? And like finding a way to just say fuck all that and making it more like the comics? Or what, because they have to bring mutant. You own the IP, dude. Like, you already have X-Men on Disney Plus. You already have all this shit. It's the perfect vehicle, in my opinion. If they don't do it now, it's a kind of a loss for as far as I'm concerned, is like an opportunity to really have it make sense.
Got you.
As much as I feel like we don't need another Wolverine origin story or an X-Men first class whatever kind of movie, I do feel like there was absolutely no other point behind Disney buying Fox other than getting the superhero rights back to Marvel. I mean, what were they really going after there? Like Ridley Scott's Alien properties they got? That's awesome. There's new series coming off of that, but like there isn't a lot there. It seems really obvious that some of the most valuable property that Fox had was their incredibly failing X-Men franchise.
And Fantastic Four, right?
And Fantastic
And
Four,
Fantastic
which
Four.
again, another failing franchise.
Yeah.
And hopefully the MCU will be able to do something, especially for me. I'd love to see them do a great Fantastic Four. But all right, Chronic Book Club members, there you have it. There's our opinions. Are we right? Are we wrong? Are we just baked out of our fucking skulls? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, what we are reading can be found on both Comixology and Marvel Unlimited, both found on the Google Play and Apple app stores. Next time, Chronic Book Club members, we will be continuing our House of M run with issues 4, 5, and 6. That's House
If you've got
M.
questions that we didn't get to go over, make sure you shoot us a message and let us know, and we'll go over those for the next episode.
And be sure to send me any of your leftover weed.
Guys, I love you so much. So remember, next time, smoke your comics, read your chronics, and we will meet you all again right here next week. For the Chronic Book Club, I'm Al Taylor alongside Mike Wood.
What? Who am I again?
Chris Jakes.
Hi.
And until then, keep twisting papers and keep flipping pages.